Today on Ghana Speaks, we're opening the phone lines for you. Give us your perspective of what happened yesterday at the Supreme Court. You can call us on 053-916-1609, 053-916-1609. Speaker directed his lawyers to also write to the Supreme Court, and he didn't want to accept the stay of execution that the Supreme Court had decided upon following the declaration of the vacant seats in Parliament. So he also told his lawyers, or he instructed his lawyers, to write to the Supreme Court. Yesterday, the Supreme Court sat and the Supreme Court dismissed his appeal. Supreme Court dismissed the Speaker's appeal. Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Badman, the Supreme Court dismissed his appeal. So I want to hear from you Ghanaians. We've been following this conversation over and over again. We've been talking about it. We've come to you with our microphones to hear what you think about it. And now we want to also hear from you on this. So Supreme Court rejected the Speaker's request to set aside order of after he had declared those 4 seats vacant. Supreme Court ruled that there should be a stay of execution on the Speaker's ruling. Speaker also directed his lawyers to write to the Supreme Court to set aside their order of stay of execution. Yesterday, the Supreme Court rejected the Speaker of Parliament's request, and they denied his request to reverse their previous ruling, which halted his declaration of 4 parliamentary seats as vacant. The Supreme Court said that it held that the applicant's contention that the Apex Court, Supreme Court, does not have the jurisdiction to interpret Article 97 amounts to misinformation. So the Supreme Court says that Speaker is misinforming the public that the Apex Court does not have the jurisdiction to interpret Article 97. It is this Article 97 that has brought about all of these conversations, the bone of contention. Article 97, NDC said that they were going to invoke Article 97 so that some seats will be declared vacant. If those seats were declared vacant, it would make the NDC the majority in Parliament. So it meant that the dynamics of Parliament was going to change. We're going to change. So the MPP will become the minority and NDC become the majority. Speaker went on to declare the seats. But the MP for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, challenged the Speaker's decision to declare the seats vacant, and he took the matter to the Apex Court, the Supreme Court. The Speaker of Parliament, when Parliament sat again, said that he had directed his lawyers to write to the Supreme Court. Following that, he adjourned Parliament indefinitely. So yesterday, Supreme Court sat, and the Speaker's legal team argued that the Supreme Court did not have the jurisdiction to intervene, among other points raised during the proceedings. They said that Supreme Court did not have the jurisdiction to intervene in Parliament matters. They didn't have the jurisdiction to interpret Article 97. And when the case was called, the lawyer for the Speaker, Thaddeus Sori, held among others that the Supreme Court lacked the jurisdiction to entertain the suits, and that the right forum per Article 99 should have been the High Court. So Speaker's lawyers argued that Supreme Court shouldn't be the court sitting on this matter. It should be the High Court, and this is what they advanced at court. And after that, Supreme Court said, nope, that is not it. So after reviewing arguments from all the parties, including the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, the Supreme Court upheld its original decision. They deemed the Speaker's appeal as unsubstantiated and said that upon careful consideration, we find that the grounds of the application lack merit. Panel that sat on the case was presided over by the Chief Justice, and the panel held that Article 99, as argued by the applicant's counsel, that is the Speaker's Counsel, does not take away its jurisdiction to interpret the Constitution, and that if the case had gone to High Court, it would still have been referred to the Supreme Court for the interpretation of the article in contention. Let's listen to the Chief Justice when ruling.
And jealously guards is that when in 1992 Constitution, that the most fundamental and hallowed right of every Ghanaian that the 1992 Constitution gives, and jealously guards is that when anyone, including the President and Vice President, is embarking on an act, on any act that violates any provision of the Constitution, or if anyone is of the considered opinion that any law or rule enacted by any legislative body breaches the Constitution, that person can run to the Supreme Court for enforcement of the Constitution. That person does not even need to be directly affected by that act or law. This Supreme Court regularly exercises this original and exclusive jurisdiction for citizens of this country. Second, Article 130 provides, 131, subject to the jurisdiction of the High Court in the enforcement of the fundamental human rights and freedoms as provided in Article 33 of this Constitution, the Supreme Court shall have exclusive original jurisdiction and in A, all matters relating to the enforcement or interpretation of this Constitution. All matters arising as to whether an enactment was made in excess of the powers conferred on Parliament or any other authority or persons by law or under this Constitution. The 1992 Constitution, that the most fundamental and hallowed right.
So that's the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. She says that the Supreme Court indeed has original jurisdiction to interpret the Constitution, to interpret the provision in the Constitution, contrary to what Speaker's lawyer said yesterday. So beyond all of that, the court dismissed or they rejected the Speaker's request to set aside its stay for execution. The Speaker wanted the court to set aside its stay of execution after the Speaker had declared the seats vacant, but the Supreme Court, the apex court of the land, has rejected that. And that's it on what happened in court yesterday. So I want to hear from you in the next few minutes. Let's hear from you. What did you take away from yesterday's proceedings in court? So you can call us on 053-916-1609, 053-916-1609, and we'll be glad to hear from you. So while we wait to hear from you, on October 18, the Supreme Court instructed Parliament to allow the 4 MPs to resume their roles until the case's conclusion, effectively suspending the Speaker's declaration made on October 17. But when Parliament reconvened, Speaker did not do that. He indefinitely adjourned Parliament, and we've been asking many questions about that, wanting to find out what it means for Parliament that they've been adjourned indefinitely. Following this, will Speaker be recalling Parliament? Will he be doing that? Well, we wait to see how far that goes. But Speaker Badbin has also assured Council of State that arrangements are being made to reconvene Parliament in early November. He says that arrangements have been made to reconvene Parliament in early November. And the NPP caucus, the NPP Parliamentary Caucus, had submitted a petition calling for an urgent return to legislative proceedings after Speaker had adjourned sitting. So let's see when in November Parliament will sit again, and we'll find out the conclusion of all of these matters that have arisen because of the invocation of Article 97. We'll have more conversation on this during today's ABC in the morning, so be rest assured that we'll bring you more on this. For Ghana Speaks Today, before we go, let's take a look at the various news portals. Okay, there is a caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you are calling from?
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm Joseph.
You are?
I'm Joseph.
Joseph, what's your perspective on the Supreme Court's dismissal of Speaker's appeal?
Right. I think the Supreme Court has given a fine. They are ruling on it. As it stands now, I think the Speaker should just accept it as it is and let's move forward. Let's not drag this case back and forth. Let's just move forward as a country.
Okay. Thank you. Joseph says we shouldn't drag it back and forth. We should move forward. We'll see how far this goes, if indeed we are moving forward. That's all for Ghana Speaks Today.
Of the Appointments Committee, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it.
Hello, good morning, and where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Habib Dagbana. I'm calling from Tamale.
Hello, Adib. Thank you for calling. What do you think about the Supreme Court's dismissal of the Speaker of Parliament's appeal?
Thank you for calling. What do you think about the Supreme Court's dismissal of the Speaker of Parliament's appeal? It is in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you.
It is in the right direction. Because that is the apex course of the land.
Thank you, Adib. Thank you for calling us. When you call us, kindly lower the volume of your TV set so that you can hear us. When you leave your TV set on, it means that you would want to hear yourself before you answer. So when you call, kindly lower the volume of your TV set.
Thank you very much. You see, the Parliament should continue. The Speaker should understand that the apex court of the land has taken its decision, which is in the right direction. He should reconvene the Parliament and let the business of the Parliament continue, because the time is very short for us to have all of this happen within the, before the election. Before the elections. You know, there is time, the government business is still standing. Parliament has to sit down, reconvene, take decisions, and approve some of the government business in order for the election to be held successfully.
Okay, thank you for speaking with us, Adib. So that's Adib. He says that it is in the right direction. What do you also think? Do you believe it's in the right direction? Do you agree with the Supreme Court? Do you think that Speaker's appeal shouldn't have been rejected by the Supreme Court? We'll take maybe 1 or 2 calls, and then that will be it. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning. Okay, we lost that caller. Call us on 0539161609. 0539161609. Hello, your name and where you're calling from. Hello. Dismissed Speaker's appeal yesterday. Let's hear what you think about yesterday's proceedings. 0539161609. Do we have a caller? Hello. What is on the various news portals? ABC News GH. Baumia launches Go Ride, enabling taxis to also go digital. Parliament set to reconvene in early November. And Mahama Baumia questioning through is a great political strategy. A political strategist says so. And let's look at myjoyonline.com. Use AG services. PPA tells Parliament at its request to use sorry at law. And the whole concept of Agenda 111 is shrouded in lack of transparency. Professor Beyo says that Parliament to reconvene early November. Speaker of Parliament says so. Now let's take a look at citynewsroom.com. Reverend Lawrence Tete apologizes to the University of Ghana over HIV remarks, and Supreme Court's ruling on vacant seats solid. Bobby Banson says so. Will help resolve parliamentary impasse. Council of State assures Speaker of Parliament Badwin. So these are what are trending on the various news portals. We'll bring you what is on the front stories or the front page of the newspapers later. Thank you for joining us on Ghana Speaks. We will be back with Business Fix. Thank you for joining us. Let's head straight into Business Fix. You're welcome. welcome. And heading into Business Fix, this week we've been looking at financial literacy, and today we want to center on investment. What is the value of investment? Financial literacy is crucial for economic stability and personal empowerment, as we've established throughout the week. And it is the ability to understand and effectively manage our personal financial matters, and it encompasses a range of skills and knowledge that enable individuals to make informed decisions regarding budgeting, saving, investing, borrowing, and planning. Today, we will be looking at the investing part of it. When you are financially literate, it means that you are better prepared to meet certain specific financial roadblocks so that you overcome them, and in turn decreases the chances of personal economic distress. And it also means that you feel empowered with the knowledge and the skills you need to manage your money effectively. Your money is yours, and how you manage it is how you need it. When we foster financial literacy, it means that we can bridge the gap between our access, those who have and those who do not have access to financial service. But now let's look at investment, the need for investment. Investment means that it involves using your capital to purchase something for the future. And investment also means that you're putting your money now in today. You are putting your money into something today for a future yield, for a better yield in the future. We have joining us for this conversation on investment, Peter Yao Osei. He is a chartered financial and investment analyst. Let's understand investment, what it means, and how we can invest as people. Hello, Peter. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hello, Abena. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers too.
Thank you. Peter, what investment avenues are available for low-income earners? Yesterday in our conversation, we looked at how much even a low-income earner can save. This time we are looking at investment. If I should, and you said that investment is a better option than saving. So as a low-income earner, what investment options are available for me?
All right, Abena, thank you so much. So when it comes to investment, it doesn't matter how you earn or how low you earn. There's investment options available for everybody. We have investment options like treasury bills. That's for those who want to invest in the short to medium term. We also have bonds. Bonds can be both corporates and government. We also have deposits, bank deposits, short term. We also have shares. We also have real estate investments. These are investments that are available for us all to invest. But probably you might think you have 100 Ghana cedi, 200 Ghana cedi. You don't fit in to go to a bank and say that I want to invest 100 Ghana cedi in table or in bank deposits. So we have this option called collective investment schemes. Now, this option is available to everybody. Now, the name comes from collective, so funds are collected together and put together into a pool, into a portfolio, and it is invested based on the investment mandate of the fund. Now, probably you are a short-term investor, yours, and you don't fit into probably go to the bank and go invest in treasury bills. We have the money market collective investment schemes for you. You can invest as low as 100 Ghana cedis. We also have those who want to invest for medium to long term. We have fixed income collective investment schemes for them. These funds are available for anybody who wants to invest in money market, in long term instruments.
Well, Peter, so how will I go about it if I want to do these kind of investments? I make 1,500 cedis. I have 200 cedis at my disposal to invest into something. You are telling me that even with my 200, I can still invest in a certain venture. How will I go about it?
Okay, so with these options, we have money market collective investment schemes. We have the fixed income collective investment schemes. We even have equity So based on your risk profile and your investment horizon, so you can walk into any investment firm, right? They will talk to you, assess you based on your risk profile. If probably you are that kind of person that does not want to expose his or your funds to risk, you can go into money markets, fixed income, investment schemes. Now, if you are somebody who wants long term, but you love to invest in stocks, but you don't have the expertise to invest in stocks, we also have the equity-based collective investment schemes. If you go there, you'll be assessed, profiled, and based on that, you'll be advised to invest in these funds.
Okay.
Now, if you're also that person who also wants to invest in real estate, you are in love with real estate, but you don't have the means, there's also real estate investment funds available that you can even invest as low as 100, 200 Ghana cedis. So how do you do it? Walk into an investment firm, it should be listed, that firm should be regulated. And as I said yesterday, you must follow them, ask questions. If it means go to the regulator to ask, are these firms credible? Follow them, ask the questions. If you go there, ask all the questions that you need to ask. And if you're convinced that this is the best option for you, you choose. And trust me, you might think that this 100 Ghana cedi, 200 Ghana cedi is little, but if you invest, I always say that investment comes with the effect of compounding. Somebody invested 100 Ghana cedi for about 15 years. Over time, the person's value came to about 66,000. Somebody invested like 200 Ghana cedi for almost 15 years. If you check 200 Ghana cedi for 15 years, the principal amount, whatever you're investing, is only about 36,000. But the interest that has come on that investment is almost about 97,000, almost 3 times the value of your principal. So don't be left out. Investment is for everybody, no matter how low you think you have. As low as 100 Ghana cedi, 200 Ghana cedi, 500 Ghana cedi. And the issue that these collective investment schemes are managed by professionals and they are well diversified, and the charges on them are low. So it's the right options for anybody who wants to invest. And as you are also investing, you can also invest in trust for your child, for your niece. Probably you want to build funds for your child towards university. You can start from that point, invest little by little, 100 Ghana cedi, 200 Ghana cedi towards that aim. Probably you want to buy a land in the next 5 years. You can invest in these options, and over time you can accumulate that kind of resources to be able to meet that need that you cherish to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So finally, before you go, as someone who may be averse to risk because of the happenings recently, I'm skeptical. I'm scared that my money will go and then I may not have it back. So I might as well spend it on myself. What would you say to someone who is skeptical, especially in our economic climate at the moment?
Okay, so for that person, I would say that you need to invest. Every economy goes through cycles, okay, and this phase obviously will pass. But the issue is that if you consume today, what are you going to live on tomorrow? And investment is the right option. So yes, there have been some challenges with investments, but the issue that going forward, we still need to invest. We need to probably then, we didn't have the chance to ask the right questions. You must have now is the time for you to ask the right questions. If you go there, don't be passive, be active participant in your investment. Now, if you're going to invest in a fund, make sure that you ask the question, are they actually investing in that fund? If you're going to invest in equities, are they actually investing in equities for you? If it's a money market fund, are they actually investing in money market instruments? You must ask those questions. So at least you know that the fund manager is going according to the mandate of the fund.
Okay.
And the issue is that every investment has an element of risk. Okay. That's why if you invest with a professional, that risk is diversified. And as the diversified, your returns also increases. So for me, I think, yes, it's challenging.
When you talk about returns, some have complained or raised concerns that the returns on their investments is just too small, maybe to the point of negligible. So they'd rather spend the money than not. Why do we see some small returns on the monies that we bring to the bank?
Okay, so when it comes to investments, probably if you leave your money in a savings account, the returns will be small. But when it comes to investments, every investment has a benchmark. If you are going to invest in, let's say, a money market instruments, probably the benchmark is a near table rate. So if probably the table rate is almost about, let's say, 20%, at the end of the day, you expect that investment that you are doing should near that benchmark or outperform that benchmark. Currently, stock market is above 30%. So anybody who is in an equity-based portfolio, you are certain that your investments are near that kind of return. So if you're making any investment, always ask of the benchmark. Every investment has a benchmark, and is your fund manager meeting the benchmark? Is the fund manager not meeting? And what are the reasons why why is it that your fund manager is not able to outperform or meet that benchmark? You ask, and probably the reasons will be given to you. So for me, every investment has a benchmark. So you, the investor, you must ask that question.
We must ask that question so that we know that we are making the right returns on our monies. Thank you for the time this morning, Peter. We are grateful.
Always welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Peter Osei is a chartered principal and investment analyst, and he's helped us with this conversation. Says don't be passive, be an active participant in your investment decisions. Very necessary, so that you know where your money is going to, you know the benchmarks, so that if your investment manager or your fund manager is not giving you the right, you know that no, you are not doing right by me. You should come back to the right side. So that is it for investments today. Financial literacy, very necessary that we know about our financial life and we are very well informed about financial matters. That's all for Business Fix this morning.
In 2017, the NPP inherited a fragmented digital infrastructure that limited public service efficiency. Since then, we've revolutionized how services are delivered with the Ghana card and mobile money interoperability, enhancing speed and accessibility. Our efforts have greatly improved government interactions, making life easier for every Ghanaian. However, our vision doesn't stop here. We aim to further expand and modernize Ghana's digital landscape. The journey towards a fully integrated digital society continues. Stand with us. Vote for innovation. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business.
In 2017, the NPP inherited an infrastructure network in need of renewal. We've since focused on building modern, resilient infrastructure, expanding roads, railways, and housing through strong partnerships with the private sector. As we enter the next chapter, a revitalized Public Works Department will lead maintenance, with local governments enhancing district roads, We are committed to expanding railways and upgrading airports to connect Ghana for a stronger future. While much has been achieved, there's still more to do. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business. Over the past 8 years, the NPP has significantly improved support for our most vulnerable citizens. From expanding school meal programs, enrolling 300,000 more people in the LEAP initiative, enhancing health care for expectant mothers, we've strengthened the fabric of our society. But our work isn't done. We are committed to further enhancing these programs and introducing new initiatives to ensure that every Ghanaian has the opportunity to thrive. Vote for progress. Vote for care. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business.
We are currently here at Kamishi.
When the news breaks, we are there. In the heart of matters arising, we follow through with the right question. Don't miss a beat with our in-depth news analysis. From breaking news, special feature stories, latest news, we bring you the stories that matter. Our team of immersed reporters bring you the news as it happens. Join us every 6 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. each day for a comprehensive look at the stories beyond the headlines.
2 to 1.
You're watching ABC News GH.
ABC News GH, your trusted source for news.
Mid-year budget review with some key allocations.
We are currently here.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching ABC in the morning live on ABC News GH. Reminder that if you want to be featured on our executive interview, get in touch with us on 053-916-1609, 053-916-1609. Now let's head into our main discussion for today. Today's discussion is centered around the Supreme Court and everything that has happened there. Yesterday, the Supreme Court sat, and the Supreme Court in their sitting has dismissed an application by the Speaker of Parliament, Albam Gbadmin. This application by the Speaker of Parliament sought to overturn the Supreme Court's ruling that suspended his declaration of 4 parliamentary seats as vacant. What was this declaration? Article 97, the NDC invoked Article 97 to have some 4 seats declared vacant. The Speaker subsequently declared those seats vacant. But the MP for Ifutu, Alexander Penyumaking, the leader of the NPP in Parliament, challenged Speaker's declaration, and in challenging, he sent the matter to the Supreme Court. In an attempt by the Speaker to reverse the court's interim decision, the Speaker, Alban Kingsford Badwin, filed an application urging the apex court of the land, the Supreme Court, to overturn its ruling and permit his declaration of the seats as vacant. Speaker's legal counsel, Thaddeus Sori, argued that the Supreme Court lacks jurisdiction to halt decisions by Parliament, since Speaker's rulings are non-judicial and falls outside the court's authority to issue stays of execution. The Speaker's motion also contended that judicial intervention in parliamentary decisions disrupts the separation of powers guaranteed by Ghana's constitution. However, in a ruling delivered by the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, the Supreme Court dismissed Speaker Badwin's application. The Supreme Court dismissed the application and underscored the court's jurisdiction to intervene in parliamentary decisions when they are alleged to breach constitutional provisions or breach constitutional provisions. And this is what happened in Parliament yesterday. Chief Justice Tokonu highlighted the potential harm to constituents who would lose their parliamentary representation without the option of by-elections, particularly as Ghana approaches the December 7 general elections. And she directed both parties to submit their statements of claims within 7 days to facilitate an expedited hearing of the substantive issues in the case. The Speaker's legal team argued that the Supreme Court lacked jurisdiction in this case, among other grounds canvassed in court. However, after hearing arguments from all the parties, including the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, the Supreme Court maintained that its earlier ruling was appropriate and stated that Speaker's appeal was without merit. The Supreme Court further adjourned the case to November 11, 2024 for judgment in the substantive case regarding the 4 vacated parliamentary seats. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday, the arguments by the Speaker's lawyers, the Attorney General, and a portion from the ruling of the court.
The application is unknown to any rule of procedure and offensive and all of that. That's the simple answer. Since the days of Mosi and Bajina, elementary first rule in the civil procedure class is that if an order is a nullity, you can come by any procedure to set it aside. It remains the law following from that. He likes to cite cases of vintage. He says over 40 years. You calculate when Mosi and Bajina was decided, 1963.
Mr. Sorry, all your juniors are here.
They were here when they said there is a misconception and a misunderstanding. They have remained here. And this is the clearest example of a misconception and misunderstanding. I said from 1963 up to 2000, and we are now in 2020 something. It remains the law, elementary first rule. 2, that I'm challenging the jurisdiction of the courts. And our streams clear. Then you cite to 4 an Attorney General and about the fact that the matter is within.
Your 1 minute is up.
Well, there are other cases. More recent vintage, they all say clearly that would not be a reason for the court to entertain the decision. And as for the circular, my Lord, the Chief Justice must have had reason to issue it, and the Speaker must have had reason to respect it.
And it has constitutional power.
It is not constitutional. He knows what to do. He should come and declare it unconstitutional. But otherwise, then the Speaker should feel deceived.
I would note respectfully that I'm just putting forward a circular that what is paramount before the court in an action of this nature is the proper interpretation of the Constitution. And indeed, as held before an Attorney General, even if, assuming we had it, even if the CJ had written such a letter, for me, with all respect, it's immaterial.
A circular.
The circular, written such a circular, it is immaterial for me. It is a construction of the words of the Constitution that matter. Decisions and orders and directives of the Supreme Court. That is in Article 2, Clause 4. Failure to obey or carry out the terms of an order or direction made or given under Clause 2 of this article constitutes a high crime under this Constitution and shall, in the case of the President or Vice President, constitute a ground for removal from office under this Constitution. So clearly, the powers of the court can never be questioned at all. And it is for this reason that the Supreme Court in Tufo and Attenjura and further fortified by J.H. Spencer and Attenjura, reported in 1996, Supreme Court of Ghana law report, stated clearly that in Ghana, there's even no such thing as a political person. The court can call into question any act or omission of any person at all, insofar as it's in violation of the Constitution. So the contention by my left friend, Counsel for Fair Defendants, that it was an administrative decision of the Speaker.
Also, that's what happened in court yesterday. We have joining us for a conversation Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah. He is a governance expert. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us, Prof.
Good morning.
Prof, yesterday the court sat. Court has dismissed Speaker's appeal. There are fears that the Supreme Court's ruling has become very predictable. In your opinion, has the Supreme Court managed this specific case well?
Well, first of all, understand I'm not a lawyer, and I've never dabbled in law. But, so I will speak only from the perspectives of a common person, but with some sense in governance. What we saw, or what we've been witnessing over the past couple of weeks about the conflict between the Supreme Court and Parliament, is part of the democratic process, which is when there's a dispute over the Constitution, it is the Supreme Court that has the final say in its decisions. Of course, after the final say, you can also go further to appeal, and they can reconstitute a panel for appeal and to hear the case. But ultimately, it's the Supreme Court that decides in these matters. Now, with the substantive issue of the conflict, the Parliament, Speaker of Parliament, made a certain decision that, in the opinion of the majority then, was unconstitutional. So they did appeal to the Supreme Court. And of course, what we heard yesterday was a position by the defense for the Speaker that, in fact, the High Court was the appropriate place to deal with the matter, but not the Supreme Court. But as the Supreme Court said, ultimately, if it's constitutional, a High Court will still refer the matter to the Supreme Court. So in that case, they felt like it was appropriate to have brought the case to the Supreme Court. So we have to wait to see the final verdict. But what I think is at stake here is whether these two very critical institutions of governance will come to some understanding. Look, those who think that the Parliament is independent and can do its own thing is absolutely wrong, in my view, as a governance person. The division of power, call it balance of power, with the checks and balances amongst the three branches of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, tells us, and rightly so, that these are three independent institutions that each has a right to check and balance power among themselves. In other words, just that the legislature holds the government to account by various means, including summoning ministers and committee investigating executive actions and all. In the same way, when it comes to the Constitution, when there's a conflict or differences in opinion concerning anything constitutional, It is the Supreme Court that decides. And if Parliament takes an action that is deemed to undermine or contradict any constitutional provision, it is Parliament, and Parliament will have the right to tell the Parliament not to do this or that based on the interpretation that they give to the Constitution. The Speaker of Parliament has no authority to interpret the Constitution. It is the sole prerogative of the Supreme Court. This is something, if you go to university and take governance or political science 101, it's clear. So, look, whether we like what the Supreme Court is doing or has done or not, it is not the same as saying who has the right to interpret the Constitution.
Prof.
Of course, yes?
Yes, Prof. You're saying that Speaker has no authority to do that, but
to interpret
the Constitution. But some are saying that because of this, because we have vested this power in the Supreme Court is using itself as a bullying pulpit over the other arms of government. Would you agree with what the people are saying?
Yes, and I agree. You see, when it becomes obvious that Supreme Court is taking certain actions that are political or that is biased and all, sure, people have a right to complain about that. Because if the executive, the president misbehaves, people have a right to complain about that. But when the president misbehaves and you complain about that, it does not mean he doesn't have the power to do perhaps what he did. Or if he did something that wasn't done right, in your opinion, it doesn't deny the fact that the president has a constitutional right to do this. So in the same way, in as much as I personally do not appreciate what the Supreme Court is doing, because in a way, not taking this case in isolation, but if you look at previous actions, for instance, there is this long-standing case regarding the denial of representation to an area in the Oti region called the Sal issue, where 4 areas have been denied representation in Parliament, and the case has been filed in the court, and for almost 4 years now, the Supreme Court has not decided, meaning that those people in those areas have been denied representation, right? It's a bad thing that the Supreme Court has done. And now, moving away from that to the current case, where the Supreme Court may be arguing that by taking out the 4 parliamentarians, the court is denying the representation of these people in the 4 constituencies that they represent, right? So there's a clear case of hypocrisy or something on the part of the Supreme Court, but that does not mean that it doesn't have power to do what it's doing. So we need to differentiate the two. Your dislike for the institution for what it has done does not deny the power that the Constitution has given it. That is the point I'm making.
In the conversation by lawyer Yao Danko, a private legal practitioner and constitutional lawyer. Lawyer Danko, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Prof, you were saying that there is a clear case of hypocrisy by the Supreme Court. They haven't looked at certain matters, but are looking at this. But this also doesn't take away their authority to interpret the Constitution.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is that we have to differentiate between the bad behavior of the Supreme Court on certain matters and the Supreme Court's authority to decide on constitutional matters, unless one convinces me that this is not a constitutional matter. But you see, Article 97 and those subsections relate directly to the vacating of seats in Parliament. So it's a constitutional matter. It is in the Constitution. So if there's a conflict of interpretation on those provisions, there is a Supreme Court that will decide.
Okay.
So my point is that even though...
Yes, Prof. So let me take Lawyer Danko's submission and then I'll come back to you, Prof.
Sure.
Yes. Lawyer Danko, you are welcome. First off, what do you make of the ruling and justification given by the Supreme Court per the appeal of the lawyers? The lawyer said that Supreme Court didn't have jurisdiction to for this matter. Supreme Court said no. At the end of the day, it would come back to them. What do you make of the justification by the Supreme Court?
Well, I mean, I listened to the hearing yesterday, and I heard their rulings, both panels, the appellate panel and the substantive panel that actually deliberated on the substantive matter. I listened to all that, and as far as I'm concerned, I have a different view. As much as we can criticize the Supreme Court, of course, for just taking certain cases and expediting those cases and not dealing with the others, that is a separate matter. But let's look at their constitutional mandate and their duty. And I think yesterday we saw clear.
You have just 1 minute remaining.
And also we saw, what do you call it, checks and balances at work. And in fact, as a matter, their deliberation, I think they did so well in terms of, the interpretation of the law and the clarity that they provided. And as a legal practitioner and academician, I would say that this was a legal gymnastics at work, which was perfect, and it was flawless in their decision. That's my opinion.
So the legal gymnastics at work was perfect, was flawless. These are the two adjectives you would use to describe what happened yesterday in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But
that is correct.
Laura, some have said that Supreme Court has become a bullying pulpit. I asked Prof the same question. I'll throw it back to you. A bullying pulpit over the other arms of government, because it seems the mandates they have has given them the strength to exert certain force, for lack of better word, on the other arms of government. Would you say that it is indeed what others are saying?
I don't think so. I disagree with them totally and completely. If the Supreme Court had done nothing, today the headlines would be something different. And when the Supreme Court are working and they're very effective, we are still having something to say about them. Who is better placed to deliberate on these matters? The judicial powers of this country is vested in the Supreme Court, and they are to deliberate on the matters. I mean, there's something that the Justice, our Chief Justice, said yesterday when she was reading the ruling, and that says that this argument took place on the floor of Parliament, where the Speaker had a different interpretation, and the Majority Leader also had a different interpretation. And when there's a conflict of interpretation, where do you go to? You invoke the powers of the Supreme Court to interpret it. They are the final arbiters of the Constitution, and they, in doing so and in exercising their powers to deliberate on matters mandated by the Constitution, does that become a bully tactics or whatever? No, I don't think so. I think they were doing a perfect job. They did well. Yes, we all criticize them that there are cases that have been there for a long time, 4 years, 5 years, that has not been given a date. The registry have not given them a date for hearing and whatnot. And then we have this Parliament issue, and within 24 hours, they were able to empanel members to deal with it. Right. Two things. One, that tells us about the urgency of the matter and the importance of the matter. Not that others are not important. But if they can do this, then it is our prayer to them that they should also look at other cases which has been with them for a long time, and not to blame manpower or whatever. If they can constitute and to effectively deliberate on these matters, then the cases that are before them, they should also expedite them, so that people will not be saying what they are saying today.
Supreme Court mentioned the disenfranchisement or the lack of representation for the people of the various constituencies who would be affected by the declaration of seats. And many others have also raised the issue of SAL. If we are looking at no representation, why then has the issue of SAL delayed for this long?
Now, okay, again, it is the same. I mean, the question you're asking now is a got you question, or I've got you there. Are you with me? That you are throwing back their own words at them. Okay, everyone is important, but I won't say that this one is is peculiar to to the other. But if that is the case, and that's a reason for them to expedite the hearing of this matter, then they should do the same for the other. That's what I would say. But in moving forward, this is what I like to say, that at all material times, I share and I believe in the decision of the Supreme Court. The only issue that I had was when their ruling, they came for an interim injunction to restrain the speaker, and in their deliberation or in their order, it sounds as if that ex parte motion has now have an effect of an interlocutory effect, because if you file an injunction or a preservation ex parte, then the maximum time you should be given is 10 days from which to bring the application on notice. But then it looks as if, by the wording of it, it looks as if, even though they came for interim injunction, they have been given an interlocutory injunction. And that was a bit troubling for us, because whatever the Supreme Court says becomes the practice, and it becomes the precedent that every court must follow. But yesterday, clarified it. And so that clarity means that we are back on track.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask that, since you mentioned the interim and interlocutory, you give us, in 30 seconds, a brief understanding of it to the layman, so that we can understand the difference between the interim injunction and the interlocutory injunction.
Okay. An interim injunction is where you are going to court and asking the court to restrain somebody because you think if the person is not restrained, right, then they'll cause a damage, or the damage that will be caused will be irreparable. If the matter that is before the court is fully determined, it will become more or less moot. So the court have the powers to restrain that person for 10 days because you haven't put the person on notice, right? And when it comes to interest of justice, you have to bring it to the attention of the person in order for the person to respond. So that's why the court will give it 10 days. It's like a buffer, a buffer zone, a short period of time to protect whatever needs to be protected and maintain the status quo then. And then you have to come on notice to the person for the person to also respond. If you come on notice and the person responds and the court deliberates and feels that he needs to continue to injunct the parties or one party, then that will become what we call interlocutory. It will be there, the decision will be there until the substantive matter is fully determined. Okay. But ex parte, I've done it behind your back, on your blind side. But I've done it on your blind side because I cannot serve you. I cannot serve you and wait. By the time I'll wait, you have caused a damage. So I'm asking the court to intervene right now to protect whatever needs protecting, right? And the court have the power to protect that for only 10 days and not beyond.
For only 10 days and not beyond. Let me go back to Prof. Prof, thank you for your time. Prof, some have suggested a dialogue and consensus to resolve this impasse. The former majority leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, says that there should be dialogue and there should be consensus building to resolve the impasse. At this point, if Speaker disagrees to dialogue or consensus, what should the other parties resort to?
Well, I think this idea of compromising or building a consensus is the most sensible thing to do in this situation. At the same time, also, we have to know that this particular case is a very good test for our Constitution, and also we are testing the resilience of the relationship that will exist between the three arms of government. In this case, two, between the Speaker, Parliament rather, and the judiciary. So the idea of a dialogue and compromise is to find a way to settle this matter peacefully so that we don't disrupt governance in the country. It's very important we do that. In fact, in the United States, if you have been following them, towards their budget, many times the Congress will decide to hold back and wait until the executive yields on certain issues. And towards the budget, if they do that, it means they are going to cut off funding for the federal government to run. But a few days to that, you find that both Democrats and Republicans will rally around and make some approval for appropriation so that the government machinery does not stall. See, that's a sensible thing they have to resolve conflict between the two sides. So in our case, whilst we are seeking to protect the rule of law in terms of ensuring that these two bodies, in fact, do understand their role and respect each other according to the law, at the same time, for the sake of preserving the stability of governance, that is where the idea of dialoguing and negotiating and compromising becomes very important. So the two should go side by side.
The two should go side by side. But what should Speaker do at the moment? Should he just accept what the Supreme Court has said? Should he
ultimately, the Speaker has to yield. The Speaker is not bigger than the Constitution. Just that the Supreme Court is not bigger than the Constitution, but the Supreme Court is the only institution with the authority to interpret, to tell us what the Constitution means, not the Speaker.
So the Speaker must yield.
Oh, yeah, and I think he is. He's already announced he's calling back Parliament. And on the basis of what happened yesterday, the 4 parliamentarians are still substantively in their seats. So let's wait and see when Parliament reconvenes and these 4 people go in, whether the Speaker will get the marshals to walk them out. Okay. And also whether the minority at the time will still come and sit on the right hand of the Speaker. Then we will know exactly if there's a conflict or not. But I think the Speaker is smart enough, he's experienced enough, and he's matured enough to know that he cannot rock the system of governance.
Okay. Ladankwa, what avenues are available for Speaker? Prof says that Speaker is not bigger than the Constitution. Speaker must yield. But what avenues are there for Speaker if he does not agree with the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court is the apex of this court of this land. There's no any other body that's above the Supreme Court. And so the Speaker, I agree with Prof, the Speaker must yield, and the Speaker will yield. And the Speaker cannot bring the Constitution to dispute or create constitutional chaos for us. I mean, it will not go down well in history, and that will not be a good legacy for him to leave. So I'm pretty sure. I'm very, very grateful that he has decided to call back Parliament. And of course, in politics, the minority may just try their antics on the floor and whatnot. But then, of course, the Speaker has the authority to actually get them to conform to the norms of Parliament. And I'm pretty sure that what has happened now, as far as I'm concerned, is a precedent that the Western world, as well as the Commonwealth nations, will use as a precedent, or at least as a persuasive argument, should they be confronted with a similar situation in their respective countries. And Ghana, as to, yesterday and today, or over these past 2 weeks, have demonstrated that we are a matured democracy and will grow even better.
We have demonstrated that we are a mature democracy and we will grow better. Are we really in a constitutional crisis, as suggested by the Chief Justice yesterday?
Up until the Speaker announced to recall Parliament, we were.
So we are not now, since Speaker has said that he will be recalling Parliament.
That is so. For now, we are not, until they all resume, and then the minority take their seats in their rightful place, and the majority take their seats in their rightful place. But I'm pretty sure that there will certainly be some antics in Parliament for us to, talk about and laugh about. But you know what? We are one Ghana, and all the MPs in Parliament, they all love each other, But of course, the difference is on policy, and we should bear that in mind.
Okay, the courts quashed all of the reliefs of the Speaker, including the declaration that the case before it fell out of the Supreme Court's jurisdiction, and setting aside the stay of the execution. What becomes of all of this? The High Court's jurisdiction when it comes to these issues under the Constitution.
You see, in my earlier answer to you, or my earlier comment, I stated that the Supreme Court actually did some legal gymnastics, right? And what I meant was that they really clarify, as far as I'm concerned, what they were telling Ghanaians is that whatever happened with this exercise is an exceptional one. And I don't think it will be a precedent that can be used in our normal daily litigations and disputes. And so the High Court, I cannot see the High Court interpreting this in any way, shape, or form, other than to go back to what we know already.
Okay, sir. Well, Prof, let me come back to you. The Supreme Court has taken its decision. I asked Lawyer Dankwa the same question. Supreme Court is talking about representation for the people in the 4 constituencies, whereas for the past 4 years, the people in SAL have not had any representation. Following all of this conversation, how are we going to be looking at the issue of representation from now on? What bearing will yesterday's decision by the Supreme Court have on our electoral process?
Well, actually, it's a good question. I think by taking this up within 24 hours, even though it may be unique in its own ways, it's also teaching the Supreme Court itself that they have been discriminatory when it comes to the issue of this, representation. That is to say, shelving the earlier case of SAL for 4 years, or almost 4 years, and quickly using the same argument of representation in taking up this case. And these people on the court are very intelligent people. Maybe they have been badly exposed by this particular incident. And I'm sure they will take a cue from this and realize that perhaps they didn't do right in the case of the SAL. And so henceforth, they will be. In fact, you see, in most countries, democratic countries, not in the States or elsewhere, they normally have a special court for dealing with election problems, election issues. And maybe this is a time we can think seriously that after elections, the Chief Justice can constitute a body called the Electoral Commission, not commission, but Electoral Court or something like that, that can very quickly deal with post-election problems. Rather than routing it through the normal hearing processes and to the High Court, to the Supreme Court, it delays. Okay? So I'm saying that I'm hoping the court will learn from this experience, because they should know that a lot of Ghanaians, intelligent people, are not happy about how they have managed the 2 cases. You see, so I'm hoping that they will learn. Otherwise, I think they are always going to be antagonized by the public on such cases. So my hope is that it's a lesson curve, a learning curve for them, and henceforth they will do right.
Dankwa, yesterday, Speaker's lawyers raised an objection about the empaneling of Justice Jewu, saying that there was conflict of interest in that he has contested on the ticket of NPP before. Did they have enough grounds to make that objection for asking that he not be empaneled on the panel for the hearing?
Well, I think if they had enough grounds, then the panel, the Chief Justice, would have made the decision. I mean, well, if he stands elections before, that is fine. But he's a Chief Justice, quote unquote, to ensure that he's fair, balanced, neutral, and to deliberate on the facts before it and apply the law appropriately and adequately. And the Chief Justice deemed it necessary that he's fit and proper person to hear the matter because he will not be biased. So we have to take it on the face value and believe that that was the case.
But
if you ask him my opinion, I think given the decision that he came to yesterday, it clearly shows that this is not a partisan.
But don't
it's not a partisan.
Isn't the Supreme Court opening itself up for Ghanaians to have a certain notion about them, that you empanel a justice who is known to have contested on the ticket of a certain party? We understand the need to be neutral and all of the other factors that that encompass the work they do. But also the layman speaks as he sees or as she sees. They have seen that this person has gone on the ticket of this party before. So if a case comes, maybe their inner bias may show. Don't you think that maybe the Supreme Court indeed should have listened to what the speaker's lawyers had raised, so that to just eliminate the elements of bias that Ghanaians would think would play in the case?
Now, I'm a practicing lawyer, and so if I had the opportunity, I would have done the same. But it doesn't mean that whatever I say is strong enough. I think you have to have more. Just that assertion alone is not enough. There should have been other further evidence adduced to show that no matter what happens, this justice will not be fair. But I don't think they were able to demonstrate that. And let me just conclude by saying this, that the four peoples and subject matter of the Supreme Court constituting yesterday, the MPs, what is happening to them? They belong to a party, but they've declared their intention to go independent. That means that they are falling out of love with their party. So if somebody has contested before, doesn't mean that the person is is still with the party, or the person cannot disagree with the party. So without seeing further evidence or more substantive cogent evidence to convince me, I didn't think that the argument would fly. Okay. When they were making the argument, I knew it would not fly on the face of it unless there's more evidence adduced.
Okay. So the evidence was just not substantial enough to stand on very strong legs.
None.
Well,
there's only one thread.
Okay.
They need two threads to make it stronger.
Okay. Prof, let me ask you the same question. Do you think that Supreme Court should have listened to Speaker's lawyers when they raised that objection?
Objection to?
They objected to the impaneling of Justice Yao Jehu on the panel because they say that
when a person is appointed to the Supreme Court, he doesn't go straight to join the court. He goes to Parliament and gets vetted by Parliament. And at the vetting, both opposition and government ruling party parliamentarians, they ask questions. Once that process is completed, the person simply has been cleared. So the past issue of whether he was a party member, he killed somebody, he did it, it should have been discussed and decided upon at the vetting. So once the person is, this is my own interpretation, once you are vetted, you are cleared to join the court. So you don't go back to say he was a party member and therefore he will be biased. What is that? I don't understand. Maybe the lawyer can explain that. The reason why the Constitution requires you to go to be vetted by Parliament is to clear all these issues. Whether he will be able to be a good judge in view of his past and all. Then the Parliament presided over by the Speaker said, oh yeah, we approve. So I don't tolerate any back issues of he was this or he was that. We have to assume that the person is going to play the role required of him by the Constitution. Period. That's the way I see that.
Okay. The substantive issue is to be heard on November 11 without preempting the Supreme Court, without going ahead of them. How do you envision or envisage all of this playing out?
Well, I think on that day there'll be a lot of law quoted, a lot of cases cited, and there'll be a lot of references to the Constitution. And I think for those of us who are very interested in the Constitution and how the system actually works, I think we will learn a lot on that day, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Lawyer, if you were Speaker's lawyer, say you were sorry at law, or we had come to your chambers, you were the ones representing Speaker in court, how would you have filed your processes?
Well, I don't think I'll do anything different to what the Surrey did. And of course, every lawyer puts on the two hats. Either you are for the plaintiff or the applicant, or you're for the respondent or the defendant, right? And whichever hat that you place on, you decide and you plan to defend your client as best as you can. I think he's done an amazing job, even though his application was dismissed. But I think he's a fantastic. I can't fault him on what he has done, except that the law is not on his side.
Okay, Prof. So let me come back to you. Lawyer Dankwa says that he wouldn't have done anything different from what Speaker's lawyers did. But coming to you, Prof, from now until November 11, you have said that Speaker must yield. Speaker should yield to the Constitution, to what the Supreme Court has said. Between now and then, if Speaker does not yield, how do you see things playing out?
You say if the Speaker does not yield? I don't understand.
If Speaker does not... Hello, Prof.
I'm with you. I'm listening.
Yes. Between now and November 11, the substantive case will be heard. At the moment, you have said that Speaker must yield. Speaker is not bigger than the Constitution.
Nobody
or,
is. Yeah,
yes.
Nobody is.
But
yeah.
In Parliament, they have their way of doing things. If Speaker is still standing on, he's still taking his entrenched position on what he's decided, awaiting the substantive case on November 11. How do you see all of these playing out?
Well, first of all, I think I said earlier that this Speaker is a very mature person, very experienced, and he knows what it means to defy the Supreme Court. And he knows that no one should defy the Supreme Court in these matters. So I'm sure he will do the right thing. That's why perhaps before leaving for Australia a couple of days ago, he announced that he will be reconvening the Parliament early November. In fact, as soon as he comes back, Parliament will be in session. So it's my impression that he understands what he needs to do, as my good lawyer said earlier, in order to avoid a needless constitutional crisis. So he will do the right thing because he knows the implications of defying the Supreme Court. So I don't anticipate any danger ahead of time. But of course, if he decides to do otherwise, and I think the consequences will be obvious to all of us, not only to him as a speaker, the legacy that he'll be leaving behind. So I expect him to do the right thing.
Okay. So, Lawyer Dankwa, between now and 11th, if Speaker does not take any decisive action or does not continues to hold his ground to, what legal actions can be taken against him? On the looking at the fact that Speaker also has some immunity, he is immune from certain things. What legal actions can be taken against him? Will he also be in contempt of court?
Oh well, I don't think it will come to that because the Speaker is not subordinate to the judiciary. The judiciary is a check on the legislature, which is the Speaker and Parliament. But if he holds his entrenched position that he's not going to yield to the decision of the Supreme Court, which I doubt, and I don't think, because we are talking in hypothetical here, there is a process for removal. He can be impeached. Nobody is bigger, like the professor said. Nobody is bigger and mightier and stronger and superior than the Constitution. If it doesn't yield to what the Supreme Court has said, which we all accept as the final arbiters and the only body to interpret the Constitution and to provide directions for us in respect of the Constitution, and he decides that he will not going to accept it, I think steps will be taken to impeach him and to remove him from office.
Okay. Prof, let me take your final words on all of these. On November 11, we will hear finally from the Supreme Court. Before that, what are your final words on Article 97, everything around Article 97 so far?
Well, my final word will be that let's all be patient and in hope that on the 11th, when the Speaker convenes, he will do what is expected of him under the Constitution and not to confront the Supreme Court on these matters, so that these matters will die. You know, we are just a few weeks away from the election to change government and to change parliamentarians. And for me, in a way, I'm even a little bit troubled that all these things should pop up at this last minute towards the elections. You know, the parliament has to now decide and work on the CI for the elections and many pending bills that need to be clear for government to continue to function and all. So this crisis, in a way, in as much as I appreciate the inherent education is given to all of us, education on the relationship between the judiciary and parliament, which is useful for us, by the way, those of us interested in governance. This is a very excellent case for us to study, to understand. So that is good. But if you look at the how this thing can also hurt our democracy, then I expect that from now until the 11th, we should be patient and wait for Parliament to convene, and hopefully for the Speaker to do the right things in consonance with what the court has said, so that we can move on with our business. Okay. I don't anticipate any serious confrontation, as the lawyer said.
Okay. Lawyer Dankwa, let me also take your final words on all of this conversation.
Well, I think it's rather unfortunate that we are confronted with this situation during election times, and because of that, the focus is gone away from holding our political parties to account, those who are putting themselves forward to stand as a president or parliamentary candidates. We are not asking them about policies and the promises that they are giving Ghanaians, that when they are elected to office, they will do A, B, C, D for us. We are not asking the questions, where would you find the money? What will happen? What are your policies? Give us details of your policies, because this thing has more or less overshadowed everything. But between now and on the 11th, I think we should put this on the back burner and allow the Supreme Court to do its job, and then concentrate rather on the elections. And when people come and knock on your door, you ask them, what are you going to do for me, and where are you going to find the money to pay for it, and how are you going to make Ghana better?
So, Lawyer Dankwa, you would rather at this moment we pump all of our energies into the elections, asking the pertinent questions about the monies, where the monies are coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't want to, I don't want to go to the bank and then I've been told by my bankers that my investment has suffered a restructuring, and I'm losing not only my interest on it, but I'm losing the principal as well, because I didn't ask the question, where is the money going to come from to pay for the promises?
Right. Okay. Thank you, Lawyer Dankwa.
Thank you.
And thank you, Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah. We are so grateful for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah is a governance expert, and Lawyer Yao Dankwa is a private legal practitioner and a constitutional lawyer. We have had this conversation on yesterday's proceedings in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court dismisses Speaker's appeal and sets November 11 for interpretation of Article 97. This provision in the Constitution that has opened Ghanaians up to so many conversations. Let's listen to the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo yesterday when she gave her ruling in the Supreme Court.
On any act that the 1992 Constitution, that the most fundamental and hallowed right of every Ghanaian that the 1992 Constitution gives and jealously guards is that when anyone, including the President and Vice President, is embarking on an act, on any act that violates any provision of the Constitution, or if anyone is of the considered opinion that any law or rule enacted by any legislative body breaches the Constitution, that person can run to the Supreme Court for enforcement of the Constitution. That person does not even need to be directly affected by that act or law. This Supreme Court regularly exercises this original and exclusive jurisdiction for citizens of this country. Second, Article 130 provides, 131, subject to the jurisdiction of the High Court in the enforcement of the fundamental human rights and freedoms as provided in Article 33 of this Constitution, the Supreme Court shall have exclusive original jurisdiction and in A, all matters relating to the enforcement or interpretation of this constitution. All matters arising as to whether an enactment was made in excess of the powers conferred on Parliament or any other authority or persons by law or.
So that was the Chief Justice and her ruling yesterday. We're looking forward to November 11, where the Supreme Court will interpret the Article 97 of the 1992 Constitution. That's all for our main discussion today on ABC in the Morning. We'll be back.
Over 5 million children have benefited from free SHS. Protect free SHS. Vote Dr. Bawumia, #1 on the ballot.
Over the past 8 years, the NPP has significantly improved support for our most vulnerable citizens. From expanding school meal programs, enrolling 300,000 more people in the LEAP initiative, enhancing health care for expectant mothers, we've strengthened the fabric of our society. But our work isn't done. We are committed to further enhancing these programs and introducing new initiatives to ensure that every Ghanaian has the opportunity to thrive. Vote for progress. Vote for care. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business.
2017, the NPP inherited a fragmented digital infrastructure that limited public service efficiency. Since then, we've revolutionized how services are delivered with the Ghana card and mobile money interoperability, enhancing speed and accessibility. Our efforts have greatly improved government interactions, making life easier for every Ghanaian. However, our vision doesn't stop here. We aim to further expand and modernize Ghana's digital landscape. The journey towards a fully integrated digital society continues. Stand with us. Vote for innovation. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business.
In 2017, the NPP inherited an infrastructure network in need of renewal. We've since focused on building modern, resilient infrastructure, expanding roads, railways, and housing through strong partnerships with the private sector. As we enter the next chapter, a revitalized public works department will lead maintenance, with local governments enhancing district roads. We are committed to expanding railways and upgrading airports to connect Ghana for a stronger future. While much has been achieved, there's still more to do. Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business. In 2017, the NPP inherited an infrastructure network in need of renewal.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching ABC in the Morning. You're reminded that to be featured on Executive Interview, call us on 053-916-1609, 053-916-1609 to be featured on Executive Interview. Let's head into politics today. What is on politics today? Today on Politics Today, our question is it time for a Mahama Bawumia debate? Is it time for a Mahama Bawumia debate? We have barely 30 days to the elections. Is it time for a debate between the two major political parties? And as Ghana prepares for its presidential elections, the debate over economic policy has taken center stage. And John Dramani Mahama, the National Democratic Congress's candidate, has been vocal in his criticism of the current administration's handling of the economy. Dr. Bawumia, renowned for his economic expertise, has repeatedly invited Mr. Mahama to a debate on economic issues. The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, also extended an invitation to both candidates to participate in a debate, yet the debate never happened. Interestingly, the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, has unleashed a 5-point economic indictment against Dr. Bawumia, his new patriotic party. And former President Mahama targets Dr. Bawumia's stewardship of Ghana's economy as economic management team chair, highlighting critical failures that have undermined the country's financial stability with 5 questions. Meanwhile, in an exchange of words and policy challenges, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who also is the presidential candidate for the governing New Patriotic Party, has responded to recent critiques from John Mahama of the NDC with 50 questions. The back and forth has taken center stage ahead of the December 7 presidential elections, with Dr. Bawumia not only responding to Mr. Mahama's inquiries, but also daring him to come to a public debate. Let's look at the questions from both John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia. So these are John Mahama's 5 questions to Bawumia. His questions are: 1. Why has the cedi deteriorated in value from 4 cedis to $1 in 2016 to almost 17 cedis to $1 today? Second question: why has Ghana's public debt risen from 126 billion Ghana cedis in 2016 to 763 billion Ghana cedis in 2024, with you as the economic management team chair? Question 3: why did inflation rise to its highest in the Fourth Republic at 54% and under your watch as EMT chair? Question 4: why did you borrow more than 42 billion Ghana cedis from the central bank and accused the central bank and caused the central bank to post its heaviest loss of 62 billion Ghana cedis? Why, and the final question is, why have you run away from giving lectures on the economy? Why has the word economy disappeared from your lexicon? These are the 5 questions from John Mahama to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let's take a look at the questions from Dr. Bawumia to John Mahama. Dr. Bawumia's questions, 50 questions. Why did you cancel the car import duty waiver for teachers and nurses? Why was average agricultural growth under your government 2.9%, less than half what it is under our government? Why was industry growth under your government lower than what it is under our government? Why was overall GDP growth under your government lower than under our government? Why did your government have no industrial policy for Ghana? Why did you think our government has constructed 4 times more roads than your government did? Why do you think our government has constructed and is constructing more hospitals than your government did? Why do you think our government has constructed and is constructing more schools than your government did? Why do you think our government has constructed and is constructing more fish landing sites than your government did? Why do you think our government has constructed and is constructing more courts than your government did? The questions are more and more and more, 50 questions. And one question that was trending yesterday on X was the question 49. Question 49 as posed by Dr. Bawumia to John Mahama. And the question is about Mr. John Mahama and his NDC giving a coherent understanding of their 24-hour economy. Their 24-hour economy. So we are asking, is it time for a Mahama Bawumia debate? Will these two finally agree to debate? What is the relevance of the back and forth as days to the major elections approach? We have barely 30-something days to the elections approaching. What is the relevance of the back and forth between the two presidential candidates? These are the questions we are asking about debates. Do Ghanaians even need a debate at this point? As a Ghanaian, are you looking forward to a debate between these two political parties? Will a debate between the two political parties change your mind? Will their debates give you an opinion on who to vote for? Or are you already set in your ways? Are you already set in your ways, regardless of whether there is a debate, regardless of the decisions that, regardless of whatever they will talk about when a debate happens, will you take a decision based on what they are saying? These are the questions. Do you really need a debate? Is it time for a debate between Mahama and Bawumia, or is the time for a debate long gone? Is the time for a debate long gone? 30 days to the elections. Barely 30 days to the elections. Is it time for a debate between Mahama and Bawumia? Mahama posed 5 questions to Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia has also posed 50 questions to John Mahama. Mr. Mahama is asking why Dr. Bawumia is not using the word economy anymore. We do not hear the word economy anymore in his lexicon. Is there a reason for that? It is for these reasons that we are asking all of these questions. You as a Ghanaian, are you looking forward to a debate? If today the IEA says that NPP and NDC have decided that they are coming to the table for a debate, will you be happy to watch a debate? Will you be interested in a debate between the two of them? Let's have a conversation with political scientist Jonathan Asante Otre on whether it is time for a debate between John Mahama and Bawumia. Good morning, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Doc, is it time for a debate between John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia?
Well, I think we find ourselves in a very difficult situation at the moment. And the issues of political manifesto is what the good people of Ghana are looking up to. Although manifestos have not really solved our problem as a people. And we can't also do away with political manifestos. However, we're looking at the current and the trending issues that borders on specificity. That is the economy, our healthcare situation, our infrastructure deficit, and what have you. But what is most important is the economy we find ourselves in. And these are the factors that Ghanaians are going to consider in choosing a president for the country. But the train of jobs and countering each other, I don't think is what the Ghanaian people want. We have moved from the old days of just giving out or jabbing people or opponents to an era where the Ghanaian people are becoming much more interested in our democracy. They are also picking up interest in our governance system. And so it is not about responding and counter responses to questions and unanswered questions that the good people of Ghana are seeking for. Rather, they are looking out for proposed measures that are realistic, solutions that are backed with science and data to alleviate us from our current challenges. And that is what I think the two candidates should be looking at, and not
but won't they be able to give us these solutions, the answers to the questions, if they come for a debate? It will provide an avenue for them to let us know what they want to do. Solutions to take out from our current situation, solutions for the future and all. If they come to a debate, won't they be afforded the opportunity to once again tell Ghanaians?
They may throw the voters into what I call an arena of disarray. Because if we allow this to continue to happen, it will mean that they will not be able to engage the citizenry as to what policy proposition and the direction they have for us. And so it will be about throwing of questions and the other responding. And that will not afford us the opportunity to scrutinize the policies they want to bring. And so, for instance, if they are talking about the economy, what are the specificity or the realities that the good people are facing as far as the economy is concerned? And so, if they are responding to themselves, I ask that, are they responding to the Ghanaian people? That will be a no answer. And so, I expect that they should rather speak to the issues and engage the Ghanaian public, and not to be throwing questions and counter questions, up there. That is not what we want.
At the moment, the presidential candidates go on political platforms and then they say what they want to do for Ghanaians. If someone is an MPP person, or someone is inclined towards MPP, they obviously won't pay too much attention listening to what Mr. John Mahama is saying. Same for another who is more inclined towards NDC. They won't also spend time listening to what Dr. Bawumia is saying. Won't a debate provide them the opportunity, an avenue to have both supporters sit and listen to them? For all you know, they may be able to sway a supporter or a floating voter from one end to the other, in as much as they need to prefer solutions for Ghanaians, solutions ahead of the elections. Won't the debate provide an avenue? You have mentioned that indeed there will be a back and forth, but at the end of the day, wouldn't it have provided an avenue for these candidates to put forward what they have for Ghanaians to a mix of their supporters?
Would the debate solve our challenge? Would the debate provide any solution to our current predicament? They should be realistic and get us bold solutions, realistic solutions that will solve our problem. The debate can be used for these debate classes and whatever they call themselves. And at the end of the day, what is the debate really contributing to our success and our growth as a country? And who are we debating to? To the Ghanaian people? And how many of them are interested in this debate? If they should mount a platform to debate, will my grandmother and my aunties who are in the village participate? Would they be able to understand the angles and directions they are coming from on that debate platform? Would the debate afford them the opportunity to tell us their plans, their programs, their policies? It is just going to be countering and counter reactions. That is what is going to happen. And I'm sure you have witnessed debate and seeing how debates are conducted. Moderators ask questions based on based on their perception. But I think we should be looking at the general concerns of the Ghanaian people, what they are going through, the infrastructure deficits we have, the challenges we have within the economy, what is our health status. These are the things I think these politicians should be looking at and give us realistic solutions and not a debate.
Well, they have outlined their solutions.
Let us look at around that have debates ever contributed to the success of any country before. It is just for the antics, and it is targeted and made for some class of the citizenry, and not to benefit the entire population. At the end of the day, the Ghanaian people will just be talking about Bawumia won, Mahama won, Bawumia lost, Mahama won. Is that what we want? I think we have gone past this level of politics because of where we find ourselves as a country. Things are not going well. So we want to see and hear from them responsible and positive solutions that are, as I said, backed by data, that CSOs can pick those informations and do thorough research on them and come out with analysis that what person A or person B said has some positive outlooks. These are the things we want to see. And again, these debates they are talking about will not be documented for me and you to kind of scrutinize. We cannot scrutinize debates. Debate cannot add anything to our success as a country. So we want to see realistic documents from them that will that is seeking to solve our problems, and not just debates.
And not just debates. However, some would argue that in the questions they have thrown at each other, it also seeks to open up certain policies. The MPP is asking, Dr. Bawumia is asking Mr. John Mahama to explain coherently what his 24-hour economy policy is. If he answers that, wouldn't he also be preferring some solutions to Ghanaians, for Ghanaians to better understand what his economy is about? Same way with the questions Mr. John Mahama is also asking Dr. Bawumia. If he also answers the questions, wouldn't it be a way of also opening Ghanaians up to what he wants to do?
Dr. Bawumia is not voting for former President Mahama. And former President Mahama is also not voting for Dr. Bawumia. They are moving round and to seek the sympathy and the vote of the Ghanaian people. They should be addressing the Ghanaian people, the economic policies, their plans and their strategies to help mitigate our challenges. They should be addressing Ghanaians and not to address each other. They should be addressing Ghanaians. They should address the public. They should address the voters and not to address themselves.
Okay, at the moment they are addressing voters by going on campaign. What would be the ideal way you would say that they should address the regular Ghanaian beyond the campaigns, the constituency level, even the local level campaigns they are doing? You mentioned that how will your grandmother be able to access what the policies that they have for Ghanaians? These two parties have done that. They go to the local levels, door-to-door campaigns, rallies and all. They employ virtually all resources available to them to be able to reach the Ghanaian at the lowest level that there is. You still say that they need to provide policies and address Ghanaians. What would be the ideal way you are looking for them to addressing Ghanaians?
I think that for over the years, their campaign manifestos have not really addressed our problems. Because if you take a look at their manifestos, it is not a contract between they themselves are political parties and the Ghanaian people. They give us promises, and at the end of the day, they're not even able to achieve 30% or 40% of the promises they have given us. I think that the country should be looking at putting together or enforcing that a national development plan or agenda is embarked upon by any of these 2 or 3 that emerges winner as far as our elections is concerned. And the traditional way of doing their campaigns by engaging the citizenry, I have always had issues with them, because it is just about mounting of platforms and singing to the good people of Ghana, saying things that even the people do not understand. I think where we are now, it is about time that civil society organizations, the academia, and well-meaning Ghanaians who are governance experts need to pull these people and ensure that they address the challenging situations that the Ghanaian people are going through. When they mount their platforms, it is purely political. But we expect that we create some platforms that will enable them do away with their political lens. Because if it is an MPP platform that has been mounted, you do not expect an NDC person to be there. Even if the NDC person is there, he will behave as if he is not an NDC person. And at that platform, the people gathered there would not ask probing questions so far as it is their candidate that is addressing them. And so we need to shift a little bit from the traditional way of addressing or speaking to the public when it comes to voting, to a point where people can, from within the crowd, ask probing questions. And that is why I would always advocate for the candidates to be meeting the press, the candidates to be meeting some CSOs who are not, quote-unquote, politically inclined. If you could remember, a couple of months ago when former President John Mahama met the media, we saw intelligent questions coming from the media. We saw probing questions coming from the media. We saw questions that would push our candidates to give us the needed strategies and plans to mitigate our challenges. But if it happens that we are doing the normal traditional way of campaigning and addressing the people, there is no way my mother in the village would come to ask a question that will be geared towards solving a particular challenge.
Okay.
And I like what some other media houses are doing, where they engage the community and ask them their needs, their challenges, and the representatives of those communities, the members of parliament, are able to also express themselves to tell them what they have been able to do and what they intend to do further. I think this is the shift I want us to look at,
okay,
and not the normal traditional way of bathing people to a grounds. They come there to throw jargons at each other, and at the end of the day, they just go back home. I think we should go past this stage.
Thank you, Doc. We are grateful for your time this morning.
I'm most grateful too.
Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere is a political scientist. He says that the candidates should rather meet the press and CSOs that are not politically inclined to ask questions so that they will answer the questions. He is not looking for debate. He says that debates beg the question. The debates do not do the work that have to be done. So instead of debate and the regular way the politicians always speak with the populace, there should be meeting the press, meeting the CSOs. That's has already been happening, meeting the press and other stakeholders. But in this case, it should be people who are not politically inclined, so that they will ask the right questions of the various candidates. That's why we have a program like Ghana Speaks, where we come to you, we bring the microphone and the camera to your constituency. We ask for your opinion. We ask what is happening in your constituency, what you are expecting, and when we come, we hope that you speak with us, because all of these go ahead to also influence decisions. And when we open the phone lines too, we are glad to have you speak to us. So anytime you see us in your constituency, in your locality, in your district, do well to draw close and speak with us. And when we open the phone lines on Ghana Speak with us. We want to hear your voice on Ghana Speaks, because your voice matters. Mr. John Mahama said quite a few on a campaign platform. Let's take a listen.
And the same person is running away from economy. He used to give lectures every month about how to run an economy, how to fix the economy. He posed 170 questions to my Vice President, Amy Sata. He should go and answer the 170 questions himself. Indeed, he shouldn't answer 170 questions. He should answer only 3 questions. 3. Why is the exchange rate 17 cedis to the dollar? Question 1. Exam, he should come and write. Ezu, why has Ghana's debt risen from 120 billion to 767 billion in 8 years? Question 2, he should come and answer. Question 3, why is inflation where it is? Why did it rise to 54% under your administration for 8 years? And then let me add 2 more. Question 4, why did you borrow 42 billion cedis from the Bank of Ghana, from the economy to digitalization? He used to do big about economy. Today he can't mention economy. It's not in his vocabulary. Anytime he opens his mouth, digitalization. Come and talk about the economy. That's question 5. 5 questions. Tell him. He should come and answer them. Ezu. And then
also, former President John Mahama says 5 questions. Bawumia should come and answer. Bawumia has also thrown 50 questions, and question 49 is what seems to be making all of the rounds for the NDC or Mahama to also answer, giving a coherent explanation of the 24-hour economy. That's all for politics today. There's a time for a Bawumia Mahama debate. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Mid-year budget review with some key allocations.
We are currently here at Kamishi
When the news breaks, we are there. In the heart of matters arising, we follow through with the right question. Don't miss a beat with our in-depth news analysis. From breaking news, special feature stories, latest news, we bring you the stories that matter. Our team of immersed reporters bring you the news as it happens. Join us every 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. each day for a comprehensive look at the stories beyond the headlines.
2 to 1.
You're watching ABC News GH.
ABC News GH, your trusted source for news.
Mid-year budget review with some key allocations.
We are currently here at Kanishi.
When the news breaks, we are there. In the heart of matters arising, we follow through with the right question. Don't miss a beat with our in-depth news analysis. From breaking news, special feature stories, latest news, we bring you the stories that matter. Our team of immersed reporters bring you the news as it happens. Join us every 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. each day for a comprehensive look at the stories beyond the headlines.
Two to 1.
You're watching ABC News GH.
ABC News GH, your trusted source for news.
For staying with us, let's get into Happy Hour. If you have any wish for your friend, for that loved one, send us a message on 053-916-1609 and we will help you wish them. You can also DM us on our socials at ABC News GH. Happy Eyes for you. Use the opportunity to send that message to that loved one. If there's any video that is worth watching, something interesting, also draw attention to it via our DMs and we'll play it on Happy Hour. We have some birthday wishes. Let's wish some special people a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Vivian Lucky Stone from the Ghana International Ladies Club. Happy birthday to you, my one and only sister. We love you and cherish you. So this is to Vivian Lucky Stone from the Ghana International Ladies Club. And to Gifty Tando, happy birthday. I hope your day is filled with laughter, love, and all the things that make you smile. May this year bring you endless blessings, unforgettable memories, and more adventures than you can count. Here's to another year of friendship, laughter, and making incredible memories together from Psalmist Esther. Happy birthday, Gifty Tando. And these are the birthday wishes we have today on Happy. If you want to wish your friend, your loved one, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your nephew, your son, your daughter a happy birthday, we will help you wish them a happy birthday. When someone celebrates their birthday, they are worth celebrating. And this is happy birthday to Aziz. Today we celebrate you, your kindness, your laughter, and everything that makes you so special. I'm so lucky to have a friend like you, and I can't wait to see all the incredible things this next year brings your way. May your day be filled with love, surprises, and every bit of happiness you bring to others. Here's to you today and always from Decency. So happy birthday, Aziz. We'll wish a happy birthday to all of your friends for you, so just get in touch with you. But after the happy birthday, let's take a look. A few weeks ago, there was a trending video online. Groomsmen, there was a music battle between some groomsmen and some bridesmaids at a wedding ceremony, a very beautiful one. Let's take a look. Let's enjoy their music battle.
One song. Are you ready? So let's go.
many beautiful scenes there at this wedding. I believe it was an interesting one. What to be a part of it and enjoying all of the music. If you have any beautiful video like this, you can send it to us. We'll play it here on Happy Hour. Away from Happy Hour, it's time for our executive interview. On executive interview, let's look at the Reading Clinic Ghana. Let's take a playback of our conversation with the Reading Clinic Ghana. For most of us interested in reading.
Yes, earlier I was saying that we have been around for almost 2 decades. Just that we were not recognized as an organization. We became an organization few years ago when people, parents, and past students of our program realized that this has to be made known to everybody. This is because the issue of our people, young and old, their inability to read keeps growing. The problem is increasing. A lot of people cannot read. So upon this, we were advised to make it an organization so we can specifically deal with reading issues. But we have been working on reading, making it possible for everyone, especially learners or students struggling to read. We've done this for so many years, almost 2 decades now.
And what is your target group for the Reading Clinic?
Okay. Anybody who is unable to read, anybody struggling to read, especially learners at the basic level, KG 1 to SHS, everybody. Our main target is to look at those who are struggling. We are not encouraging reading where you're able to read, we gather as a club, come and read, we reward you. No. We are looking at those who are struggling to read. Teachers have done a lot, parents have done a lot, and it is not working. Therefore, these people are with many learning disorders. Others haven't gone through any specific reading process. These are the ones we are looking for, and these are the ones we've been able to make it possible for them to read.
Okay. Frederick, direct us to Reading Clinic and also share your contact with us.
Okay. At the moment, we are all over Ghana as an organization. If you go to Kumasi, there is you ask if you want our contact, we'll give to you, and you speak to our representative in the Ashanti region. Every region where you are, you just call us, and then on the number I'll be giving out, and then we direct you to the right center or the right person. If we do not have a center in your region or your locality, we can have online session for you to participate in the program. In Accra here, if you go to the Western University campus at La Paz Flattop, we share office with National Council of Private School Teachers, NCOPS and Reading Clinic, same office in the at the school premises. And then also at Dakuma, that is Nyamiche, along Nyamiche, Dakuma Road, we are also there. We have an office there. This is the line. If one wants to reach us, we are 0540 825. Yes, earlier I was saying that we have been.
So that's the Reading Clinic Ghana for you who are interested in reading. That's all for Executive Interview. Let's look at what is trending on X before we end the show today. On X today, Badman is trending, Black Sheriff is trending, Mahama is trending, Mifiodo is trending, Keta is trending, Boko, Sarkodie. There's so many trends actually today on X. But let's look at Black Sheriff for those of us who love hip-hop and the rest. Black Sheriff is trending, and it says that Black Sheriff occupies top 3 positions on Apple Music charts. And yes, it's all about Black Sheriff. Black Sheriff owns Ghana Music, Kwejo Sheldon says, and so many conversations on Black Sheriff. So for those of you who are very much interested in Black Sheriff, go on X, you'd see that he's trending. His Rebel music is trending. So you go on X and you would see that Babin is trending. Speaker of Parliament, he's trending. So it says Speaker leaves for 67th CPA International Conference in Australia. And in the land of the riches and a time of anarchy, the destiny of Unanimous FC and an old man will intertwine. His name, Badmin. This is from Kobina Adabo. He tweets that he puts that on the X platform. Speaker of Parliament has announced plans to reconvene Parliament in November. And then vacant seats controversy. We should expect more fireworks from Speaker Badmin following Supreme Court's refusal of his application. And private legal practitioner says that, and he's trending all over. Every democracy is as good as its parliament. Speaker Badmin warns against undermining the legislature. The whole country must support parliament to be stronger. Speaker Badmin says that too. That's why he is trending. Boko is also trending. The issue of Boko is trending, and many people are having their say on it. It says death toll rises to 17 in Boko. Very unfortunate. And the overlord of Boko Kingdom, Zugran Boko Naba Asigri Abu Grago Azoka II, has banned the NPP from the Kuzaug traditional area. So Boko Naba bans NPP from campaigning in Kuzaug traditional area. Well, we will look at that and understand why that is happening. Also, Mahama is trending. On Mahama's trend, John Mahama posted that later tonight at 6 p.m. I will be speaking to Ghanaians about the National Democratic Congress's plans to reset Ghana for good governance and accountability. I believe very strongly that the governance of our dear country Ghana is at a crossroads, with injustice eating our society away as our economy inflicts untold hardships on the millions of suffering Ghanaians. Tonight's governance forum is an opportunity to highlight our initiatives to enhance accountability. So he has a governance forum tonight at 6 p.m. and he says the theme is resetting Ghana for good governance and accountability. And Koko Anyido, who has tweeted that I'm very much aware of the fact that many bigwigs in the NDC are very angry at the abusive posturing of John Mahama. The bigwigs believe that his negative attitude is fast destroying his chances and badly damaging the once solid image of the party. And Jane Nano Obokwajiman is also trending amidst the name of Mahama. And Mahama says that the election is about the economy. Answer the 5 questions. And that is it. More and more of why Mahama is trending on the X platform. And some are also justifying the phrase Mahama used when he says it's the economy stupid. They are justifying it that it is a phrase coined by James Carville in 1992 when he was advising Bill Clinton in his successful run for the White House, and more and more. So they are justifying what former President Mahama said, that he wasn't insulting anybody. So these are some of the trends on the X platform, and here's how we end ABC in the Morning today. We are grateful for your time today. We've looked at decisions by the Supreme Court set aside what set aside the application by Speaker Badbin. Also on Business Fix, we looked at the value of investment, the need to invest. We also looked at what it means for the elections now that Madam Ekuadonko has passed. What does it bode for her party? Does her party die with her, or the party will remain strong? But we've had conversations on all of these. Remember that on November 11, Chief Justice and the Supreme Court will give a determination on the interpretation of Article 97. I know all of us are looking forward to that. And Speaker also says that he will reconvene Parliament in November. We are all looking forward to that. That's all on ABC in the Morning today. We'll open the lines in our subsequent ABC in the Morning, and looking forward to your speaking on ABC in the Morning. Your voice matters, and we want to hear from you. Today is the final day in October, 31st October 2024. The whole month of October, we look at breast cancer awareness. If you haven't had your breast examined, please do also have it examined, and also make it a point to always go for checkup. At least once a month, you go for a checkup. Make sure that everything is happening well in your breast and you are fine. Early detection saves life. When we started October, you may have had certain goals that you were looking at achieving. If you have achieved those goals, kudos to you. Congratulations on the achievement of all your goals for the month of September. If you were not able to achieve all of them, I would remind you to keep your head up high. All hope is not lost for you. There's still more time to achieve everything you are looking for. Keep your head up high, master all of the positivity you can, and look towards the year with greatness. Know that the year will come together well as you are expecting it. We trust in you, and we also believe in you, and we know that your hopes will not be dashed at all. Like we were told, the 5G is supposed to be rolled out, 5G service, in November. Tomorrow is 1st November. We are looking forward to that. And for comprehensive election coverage, a few days into the elections, you should be here on ABC News GH. We will start our election campaign in November, and we are saying